I guess I'll start by simply asking you, from a manager's perspective, do you get excited at this time of year?
Well, I really do. I think it goes back to being a player and knowing that nervousness. You trained all summer, and you're creeping in the door for training camp. How does everybody else look? How are you going to compare? And it's just that energy from the players. And I think you also get the energy on this side of it from the coaches too. They're just chomping at the bit. I think Coach Bear was here about 4 a.m. in the morning, ready to lead his troops. So it's been exciting with the energy from the new players, but also the coaching staff that's come in place.
With how much you did this offseason, is it almost a relief to get to the regular season, or at least a training camp?
It is a relief, and it was an odd year in the sense that you had a development camp that was right next door to a rookie tournament we had no idea we were running, along with training camp that was coming our way. So there was a lot of things on the table. So and on top of that, there was a lot of player transactions. There was a lot of staff hired behind the scenes. It was an extremely busy summer, but a productive one.
Bill, you guys have been pretty honest about the direction of this franchise.
Yeah.
With that in mind, with what you guys are trying to accomplish, what is the message to the players when they know that this is a tear down and a rebuild?
That's interesting. We've often thought about what is the actual message to the players. And we addressed it this morning, and I just addressed it by saying this. Someone asked me, well, what type of hockey team did you build? We built a hungry hockey team, because there's everybody coming through the door this morning. Everybody has an opportunity to make the club and make an impact, but they also have to. There's veterans that need contracts next year. There's American League players that want to make the jump. Everybody has something that they're looking forward to get out of this season, and they're extremely hungry, along with a hungry coaching staff. So, that's probably the message to the team, is that you've got a mix of different players coming in, but they're all hungry.
And feeding off that, then, what would be your expectations for what you're going to see on the ice this year?
Well, I think one of the expectations is probably just to see our team grow. Well, what's the best that they can be, but compete every single night with energy and effort. That's what they can bring. There's a competitive team in that dressing room, a hungry team. The rest is up to them to see how far they can push it and how they can grow. You never know with a team like that being as hungry as they are.
Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
Good.
Do you kind of see this training camp as maybe a little bit more wide open in terms of competition for spots?
Well, it's interesting you say that. So sometimes, from my experience going to training camp, you're number 97 and the guy beside you is number 98, and you already know you're not making the team. This is all about opportunity. There's players coming through the door, that haven't established themselves yet. They're hungry to make that difference, and they have opportunity in front of them. You have some veterans on our team that are core guys, that have, they've played fairly well, but they haven't established themselves, as that next level. So there's tremendous amount of opportunity in front of everybody, and that's, as a player, you got to get excited about that. You're coming into training camp. We didn't bring 62 guys to camp. We brought the guys that we thought had a chance. Now there's competition for jobs, but the main thing that I think gets our players excited is there's opportunity.
And my other question, there have been some guys around the league who've, been told they can't play yet due to COVID vaccinations, what have you. Where does the team stand with all that? Where's the percentage level, I guess, if you could put it?
I mean, the NHL has really dictated that. They've put in place protocols that almost make it impossible for you not to have your vaccination, and I think with everybody, the majority of NHL players, NHL staff, NHL management that are vaccinated, everybody showed, listen, that's where it's going, and for us, we're fortunate to have everybody as players, not only management and training staffs and coaching staff, but 100% vaccinated at this point. So we've been fortunate that everybody's on the same page.
Thanks.
Bill, how much stronger is the foundation of the team as opposed to where we were last year from this year, as far as the youth coming up and even the hockey operations department?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's the foundation. You watch the rookie games and the rookie tournaments, and you see how we played. We're in 3 games, And even the practice that we had in between the games, the hunger level, the effort, the compete and just in that simple, small period of time, you can see the foundation that our coaches have started to build, and the foundation has been set by our scouts who brought those players in. And it's just a small time. It's been 1 year since I've come on board. To be able to walk into that rookie tournament and see the Mosers of the world and how hard they're competing, and Dylan Guenther score the goals that he had, and McCartney have that impact where he had 7 points in 3 games as a 7th rounder. I believe we're slightly ahead of what we anticipated, but the foundation has been laid, and we were able to, and not to discredit any of the players that were here before, but it was a breath of fresh air for us to have this cloud, and the sunshine and this new wave of player coming through the door. So it's been extremely exciting time for us.
Bill, there a few veterans acquired this offseason. Then, of course, you've got some players returning who are playing in their 5th, their 6th year. As far as leadership qualities you're looking for to lead this hungry team, any players pop out or any qualities you're looking to see from any particular players?
Oh, there's a number of unbelievable leaders. Leaders are hard to find in the NHL, the true A-type personality. Andrew Ladd walks through your door. He's one of the best of all time, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. His leadership is incredible. Then you've got Jay Beagle, who backs it up with his work ethic. Louis Ericsson's won a cup too, and you've got Anton Stralman. So for us, with the hunger coming through the door, we're very fortunate enough to have the leadership come through the door. And that leadership is so important. We had it in St. Louis when we had the Ryan O'Reillys, and you could see the young players just gravitate towards that and learn to do the right things. Learn to take that extra step when nobody's looking. And that's what those guys bring through the door. So we are very fortunate to go through this time of rebuilding at the same time that we've got a hungry hockey club in place, and we've got the leadership that most teams don't have in the NHL.
What are you most excited for this season?
Well, I'm excited for our coach. He's waited for a long time to get this opportunity to coach in the NHL, and he's just chomping at the bit to get a hold of that team. So, his energy is probably something I've liked the most so far, and it's been put a smile on my face. Yeah, it's a tricky situation. It's funny that you asked that question because of all the opportunity that we have and all the draft picks. And we were doing a routine thing that the pro scouts do, where they build the depth charts from the other teams and the players that have stumbled. And one of the things that makes players stumble and stifles their actually potential is sometimes getting to the NHL too early. So there's a delicate balance of putting a player in there to succeed at the right time, and that is a very delicate situation. And just because we have that opportunity doesn't mean we're going to insert that player at a point where it's actually going to be detrimental to his improvement. So we have to be very, very careful on that. And I think, for the coaching staff, Coach has had a lot of young players in his day back in junior. And I've had fortunate to see players go through, and one of our consultants, Larry Plow, has a ton of experience with that, and everybody's in place to make sure we put them in there at the right time and not too early.
Patrick? Bill, with so many new faces collectively throughout the season, what is it that you're going to be evaluating, that you're going to be looking for specifically as the season presses on?
Yeah, I think you evaluate the improvement of not only the team but also the players. You're looking for constant improvement. That's the biggest thing we'll be evaluating. Do the players fall in love with the process and get better every single day? From the time we start training camp to the time our last game's played, does the team get better? Do the players get better? That's the evaluation. Yeah.
Last year you did a lot of evaluation and you didn't make a lot of moves, and I think it was a case where you wanted to see what you had. How does that transition into this season, and are there any other things we should be looking for beyond that in terms of the development of the overall group?
Yeah, I mean, last year was a year where it probably took me a good year to wrap my head around exactly where we were going with the group and where we were at with the group, and how to take it apart or actually build on what we had. So it took me a little bit of time to wrap my head around it, and I think that helped, just having the patience and taking the whole year to do that. This year, when you go back at it, the moves that are going to be made, probably not as many. There might be a few trades. If we can upgrade some players at any point in time, obviously as a GM, that's my job. I'm always going to look to do that and to go out there and see if we can improve our club through waivers, small trades in the American League, any other way that we can possibly do it. We're always going to be looking just to try and get that club, to the next step. And I think with all the draft picks you have, you can't rule out some trades to go acquire players at some point in time too.
And you mentioned your coach, Andre. You've been around the game a long time. What has been your advice to him as he makes this step to head coach?
Yeah. The advice is I really didn't have to say much to Bear. He's a pretty self-motivated guy that he's coached for so many years. He's got the feel for the players and what he wants to get accomplished. My advice to him is just the improvement thing, and I think he's on board with that. It's just about trying to get everybody to dig into the process and get better as a player and as a team every single day they come to the rink.
Any more questions for Bill?
Yeah, well, actually, a quick question. Last year's training camp was such an odd situation in the
Yeah.
timing and from you coming into the job. From your initial evaluation of Jakob Chychrun, could you have possibly foreseen the 56-game run he would go on and the success he would have? And he was such a young guy and was still developing.
Well, I had he's the same age as my son, actually, so I've seen him since he's been about 12 years old. So it's been just great to watch him progress all the way through. Chick is not only a good player, but he's also a good person, and he has what we're looking for. And what he adds to our culture is just he gets up every morning trying to get better. What I loved about what he did last year was he just got better and better, and I think he just evolved with some maturity, where to the point where he is someone the NHL has to look at when you're looking at our team because of his shot and just his physical ability to get things accomplished. He's very talented, and I think at the end of the year, what I was most impressed with was his shot. Just it was dominant at times, unstoppable at times from the point. What Chick has to do this year is get to the next level. That's the next step where he's one of the best, and he's got to push that pace. That's something that we've talked about with him, is that you've taken this step. Can you hold to that same standard, and can you still get better from there? That's going to be something that he's got to put on the ice every single night.
Seth, go ahead.
Through your trades, picked up some veterans that their tenure with their team didn't end the way they wanted to.
Yep.
Louis Eriksson, Shane Gostisbehere as well. What is the message that you've had with those guys in one-on-one talks about their outlook and the expectations you have of them?
Yeah, I try to meet with all of them and get them to understand where we're moving as an organization, what was expected of them. A lot of the veterans that came in, as you said, it didn't end the way they wanted it in their particular city, and they don't want it to end that way. And that's where you get excited, because the effort that they're going to prepare. And it's a simple thing, but I went over to the ice den to watch them practice, and I couldn't believe our guys, how hard they were training and practicing, and it was because of the drive of those players. And they want to make sure that, especially the veterans that have come here from other teams at the end of their career, they want to make sure it ends their way. And that's one of the most impressive things I've seen. Expectations, that we've set forth for them is to be leaders, to take some involvement. Even though you're here early and you're not dug in as much as you haven't been here for a long time, jump into that leadership role. Jump in and help this team move to the next step. And everybody, has the team ranked in a certain area, but I believe that with the leadership and the guys that have come, this team can surprise some people.